For almost 1 million years, the monstrous short-faced bear stalked the North American continent. On all fours, it was 6 feet tall, yet it could outrun a horse. It was twice the size and much more powerful than a grizzly bear, and able to kill with one blow. Today, scientists are still trying to determine just how this mighty creature lived and what it ate. How could such a formidable predator fade into extinction? Was it the change in climate or the arrival of human hunters? Now, science and innovative technology can take us beyond the bones. We are going to bring this animal back to life, 10,000 years after it left the planet. North America, 14,000 years ago. It was the end of the Ice Age, and the melting ice sheets had unlocked a landscape that provided an abundant food source for a multitude of wildlife. The continent looked like today's African Serengeti. It was teeming with mammals, herds of bison, horses, camels. Even huge mammoths roamed across the terrain. Here, the law of the land was simple: kill or be killed. In this harsh world, one animal stood above the rest: the short-faced bear. This beast was the largest carnivorous creature to walk the earth since the days of the dinosaurs. Experts believed it could attack and kill any prey animal it wanted. Known as the short-faced or bulldog bear, it had intensely powerful jaws that gave this bear a crushing bite. Using its sharp claws and ferocious jaws, this bear was an efficient killing machine. But this massive animal was no match for an unusual geological feature in Southern California: a pool of sticky, viscous tar that was one of the most deadly animal traps ever known. The pools of tar were molten asphalt that bubbled up from thousands of feet below the Earth's surface, forming a series of small ponds that were hidden by leaves and foliage. Just 2 inches of tar was strong enough to totally immobilize any creature. The more the bear tried to pull itself free, the further it sank into the mire. If it was lucky, it would die of exposure and starvation within a few days. More likely, though, it would be torn apart and eaten by either dire wolves, saber-toothed cats, or lions. It was certainly a very painful death. The tar pits have provided a spectacular snapshot of life 14,000 years ago. This prehistoric graveyard of extinct Ice Age animals has resulted in one of the richest fossil sites in the world. It's known as the Rancho La Brea Tar Pits and is located in the heart of Los Angeles. This huge disparity in the number of recovered bones points to an important characteristic of the bear's personality. It was strangely elusive. Compared to other carnivores, bears were never common in one locality. They tended to be solitary hunters that required a large expanse of open ground space. The vast collection of Ice Age animals at Rancho La Brea paint a vivid picture of a prehistoric landscape teeming with fierce predators, all competing with the bear. There were saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, and American lions. These apex predators had an abundance of prey to hunt for, such as bison, horse, camel, and even the giant sloth. there were also humans who had migrated over the Bering Strait from Siberia to Alaska about 14,000 years ago. Experts agree that humans came in contact with short-faced bears. This means that the possibility exists that hunters and short-faced bears could have fought each other over freshly killed carcasses. The closest North American relative to the short-faced bear would be its cousin, the grizzly. And while this bear may be as fierce, there are many characteristics that are very different. 14,000 years ago, the grizzly lived on the same landscape as the short-faced bear, but they weren't competitors. One, quite simply, dwarfed the other. Walking on all fours, a grizzly bear is about 3.5 feet tall. The short-faced bear was 6 feet tall. And when it stood up, this huge creature measured 11 feet. Even amongst other monsters, it stood out. Scientists theorize that the size of this bear made it a fearless hunter, able to kill very large prey unavailable to other predators. One such prey animal was the Jefferson ground sloth, an herbivore that weighed in at 2,000 pounds. Although slow-moving, its massive size was protection against smaller predators like the saber-toothed cat or dire wolf. Like today's elephants on the African plains, the sloth's massive size made it difficult to kill. If a sloth was attacked by a short-faced bear, it would use its best defense: sheer bulk. The sloth outweighed the bear by more than 800 pounds. But once the bear stood up, they were nearly the same height. According to Greg MacDonald, the sloth's best defense was to inflict damage with its long, sharp claws. The bear might be able to immobilize its prey by either slashing open their abdominal area or by crushing the sloth's shoulder with his powerful bite. With his shoulder broken, the sloth would be defenseless. With the potential of killing any animal on the prey menu, how do we know what the short-faced bear ate? Did it eat vegetation like its modern cousin, the grizzly? Or was it a confirmed carnivore? During the Ice Age, a monstrous predator stalked the American landscape: the short-faced bear. This animal died out about 10,000 years ago, but its bones provide an important record for paleontologists who are now studying this magnificent creature. In a lab located in Canada's Yukon, Dr. Paul Matthews cuts into a 26,000-year-old ulna from one of these elusive predators. Dr. Matthews is willing to sacrifice part of this precious bone in order to perform a cutting-edge stable isotope analysis. This test will reveal the bear's diet. The short-faced bear only ate meat, a pure carnivore. More important, the isotope levels also reveal that short-faced bears had an appetite for almost every prey animal on the landscape. They would eat bison, horse, caribou, even mammoth. In looking at predator behavior, this presents an impossible scenario. There is no modern carnivore that can hunt down all those types of prey. Most predators are specialists, choosing to focus on one type of animal. The isotope levels of other Ice Age carnivores revealed that they all had a very narrow diet. For example, the saber-toothed cat primarily ate bison. This evidence presented a mystery about the bear. Dr. Matthews also studied modern carnivores and calculated that the short-faced bear had to consume 35 pounds of meat a day to survive. This is more than twice the amount a lion needs. The short-faced bear could only chase an animal like a horse in a straight line. If the horse made a sharp turn and the bear followed, it could break its leg. Dr. Matthews believes he has solved this ancient mystery. The short-faced bear evolved into its massive size not for hunting, but for intimidating other animals into giving up their hard-earned prey. Far from the ultimate predator, the bear was instead the ultimate scavenger, roaming vast areas in search of a free meal. Today, grizzlies in Yellowstone Park will follow wolf packs and then seize their prey once they've made a kill. "14,000 years ago, the short-faced bear followed the same strategy. Just wait till a pack of dire wolves had run down and killed a bison. And then swoop in to steal their kill. To protect their prey, the wolves would have encircled the bear and attacked him from different angles. Although the wolves were willing to fight for their kill, the bear's enormous size would intimidate them. Once he stood up, he towered over them by 8 feet. With its locomotive efficiency, the short-faced bear could easily glide across the landscape in the perpetual search for food. Most important, this meant the bear burnt fewer calories in its quest to find a meal. But once the bear found a carcass, it still had to steal it. And that was where the bear would earn its place at the apex of the apex predators. 10,000 years after its extinction, the short-faced bear is still an enigma. Its size and ferocity point toward this beast being a hyper-carnivore, hunting down any and all prey. The short-faced bear remains were discovered in 1983, in the midst of the mammoths. But this find presented a mystery. Was this short-faced bear hunting mammoths, or was there another reason why it died at the site? If the short-faced bear found a dead bison, he most likely would be confronted by a group of saber-toothed cats feeding on the carcass. It would be size against numbers. The cats would stand and fight because of their advantage of 3 to 1. Their long teeth also presented something of an obstacle.
Let's remember that this is still a bear. It still has a massive, strong skull. It still has powerful limbs and feet that could swat at a cat and keep it at bay.
Since most animals won't fight to the death, the experts agree on this fight's eventual outcome. This kind of confrontation might explain why the short-faced bear evolved into such a large creature. Sometimes it didn't even have to fight for its food. Its mere presence was enough to scare off a predator from a freshly killed carcass. But what happened when the bear was late for dinner? Like today's lions in the African Serengeti, no matter how fast the bear tracked down a carcass, other predators would have already eaten the animal's prime parts. It would be difficult for this massive carnivore to survive on the remains of a carcass that was essentially just skin and bones. This is where the bear's short face came in most handy. Because its front teeth were so close to the fulcrum of its jaw, the bear's bite could crack open bones. But there was another dangerous predator who appeared on the landscape: human beings. These creatures had the skills not only to hunt mammoths, but intelligence enough to kill almost any animal. Scientists are still investigating the relationship between humans and the short-faced bear. Ironically, it seems the humans may have found the bear carcass and then scavenged it. The hunters cut off one of the bear's long front legs and made a butchering tool out of its radius, or lower arm bone. Dr. Johnson was able to reconstruct how the bone was broken. The hunters laid it between two rocks that were like anvils. Then a hammerstone was used to break the bone. Since humans only had a few small stone tools, this was an ingenious and efficient way for them to butcher the giant bear, or any other large animal, such as a mammoth. The broken edge of the bone provided a sharp and strong cutting tool that got the job done quickly. When the hunters were done butchering, they discarded the bone so they didn't have to carry around a lot of heavy tools. They would just make new tools at the next kill site.
So it would lighten their load, it would limit the need to have an extended toolkit.
But hunters did carry one item that was essential for survival: the Clovis point. This was a stone weapon that was one of the first technologies invented by humankind. It was discovered in 1932 next to a dead mammoth in Clovis, New Mexico. Later, scientists were able to carbon date the mammoth bones, estimating the age of the spearhead as 13,500 years old. The Clovis point was such an important hunting tool that anthropologists dubbed the prehistoric Native American culture who used it Clovis people. These hunters specialized in taking down mammoths, and they were very good at it. Paleontologists discovered one site in southern Arizona where at least 9 mammoths had been killed. But butchering a massive mammoth carcass would attract unwanted attention from a creature used to taking any carcass it found.
If he smells a fresh kill, he's going to go for it. If there's a few funny-looking people around, that's not going to intimidate him. He's going to try to intimidate them, usually by standing up and giving a display of his size.
But while the humans couldn't match the bear's strength, they did carry a lethal weapon that could protect them from any fierce predator. The atlatl dart, armed with a Clovis point. The atlatl was humankind's first mechanical invention. It was a stick with a hook or socket that a hunter used to launch a light spear armed with a Clovis point.
This is a replica Clovis point. It's very sharp, and with a lot of power behind it, it's easily going to penetrate the bear's skin.
When thrown properly, an atlatl dart traveled at 100 miles per hour and was very accurate at close range. Still, Dr. Agenbrod feels it would have to be a very lucky shot. The hunters would have to aim for the vital organs that offered the most vulnerable target. Behind the bear's ribcage were its lungs, heart, and liver. While the results of human-bear conflict aren't certain, there is one undeniable fact. 10,000 years ago in North America, the megabeasts suddenly went extinct. This event is unprecedented and unexplained. Along with the short-faced bear, the dire wolf, lion, mammoth, sloth, and saber-toothed cat were wiped off the face of the earth. The short-faced bear was the last to die out. No evidence has been discovered that humans killed even one short-faced bear, saber-toothed cat, or dire wolf.
Just the fact that humans are on the landscape isn't compelling enough evidence to say that it's humans that cause this extinction. We know that humans and these large animals coexisted in other places on the planet for a long time, and it didn't lead to their extinction.
It is hard to imagine that a modest human population could have emptied an entire continent of its megafauna. This leads to the one factor that could be common to such a vast area: weather. 17,000 years ago, North America witnessed rapid climate changes. A new theory suggests a comet collision was responsible. Some scientists believe there was a cold snap between about 12,900 and 11,500 years ago. This partial return to freezing ice age conditions put enormous stress on the ecosystem.
We can tell from the isotopic analysis of the junipers that plants were greatly stressed. They weren't providing very much in the way of food, so there wouldn't have been very many herbivores. And in turn, there wouldn't have been that many carnivores.
But detractors again point to a lack of evidence. Where are the deposits of starved or frozen animals that would be left behind had there been such a sudden climate swing? And how is it that the megafauna managed to survive numerous other glaciations during the prior 2 million years, only to succumb to the one that closed the Ice Age? Lacking the adaptability to find other food sources and being solely a meat eater, the short-faced bear died out. Interestingly, its relative, the grizzly bear, had to struggle with the same climate changes, yet it survived. Today, the North American grizzly, like Adam here, has the same abilities as his ancestors did 20,000 years ago.